What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice.
This is Google Maps. It's the satellite view. If you zoom in on this part of the Sinai Peninsula, you have here a shaded region.
Yeah, it looks like Moses.
Wait, Moses? Those are just random geological features on the face of the earth, and you've contorted it to make it look like something to you? Today, we're fucking around and finding out how Google Maps can prove that Moses existed and that he was magically prevented from getting into the Holy Land with Roseanne Barr. If you'd like to fuck around and find out with me, then please stay tuned.
But essentially, God told Moses that you will not enter Zion, the promised land, and you will be watching it from afar. Now, I believe the English word is pareidolia or pareidolia, where it's essentially a phenomenon where you're looking at something, and if you look at it long enough, you can see something.
Pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where your brain interprets images or information where none exist. So he's already admitting to us that whatever he's about to show us is just random information that he's going to manipulate into making us think is something profound.
That's the open-mindedness that I need both of you to deploy right now.
Okay.
This is Google Maps. It's the satellite view. Anybody can do this. They can do this while we're watching. If you pull over to Israel, just turn it 90 degrees this way. So here we have Egypt, where Moses led the Israelites out for 40 years. You have here on the Sinai Peninsula. If you zoom in on this part of the Sinai Peninsula, you have here a shaded region.
Yeah,
Can you just take a minute and look at this region?
it looks like Moses.
You see it, Jake?
Well, first of all, Deuteronomy 23:27 actually places Moses on the Mount of Pisgah. It's actually just right across the way from Jerusalem. So just to orient everybody on what's actually going on here, the pin on the lower left is where they were actually talking about, and the top pin is where Pisgah is. If God were going to make a point like carving the visage of Moses into the geography, wouldn't he do it where he said that he would? Not from a place that only makes sense to either God, aliens, or future humans. Also, I have to ask, how effective is it to vaguely carve into the geography some kind of image that you have to manipulate and contort in order to actually perceive, when just leaving actual physical evidence would be a more direct and surefire way to convince people that Moses actually existed? Wouldn't that be easier to do? That's just me trying to apply logic to a cosmic wizard. Of course, this is all moot. He already admitted that he needs them to be gullible enough to perceive patterns in random noise, but he's describing it as being open-minded. It's not being open-minded, it's being gullible as fuck. And if there's anyone that's naive enough to believe this bullshit, it's Roseanne Barr. If she can be convinced to make this cringy garbage, she'll believe any random bullshit.
So we have here this like shaded part, this shaded part. When we think of Moses, by the way, he's kind of like in a cloak, long white beard.
Oh, okay, so we're playing the squint and believe game. Let me show you how this works. This is the laughing ass end of a Chinook. Oh, Jesus left his butt fucking mark on this dog. And this cheese grater is very happy because, you know, cheese.
If you zoom in over here, you have an eye,
Yeah.
you have a mouth,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it. Whoa.
and hold on a second. If you zoom in all the way on the eye,
Holy
you have
I'm also high
what we
right
would
now,
call as a pupil.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all three of us in the room, we have this here. This is, by the way, this is like desert region and is untouched. Like this has been this way. And you have here Moses, and he's looking in he's looking in this direction. But if you took a ruler and you laid it flat and you just followed his eyesight,
Whoa.
his eyesight
Yeah.
goes a direct line to Jerusalem.
Yeah. It sure does.
Hey, you know what else has an eye and looks directly at something? This dog's ass, staring directly at Jerusalem, as long as you manipulate it just right. Checkmate, Christians. Another funny thing is that there is zero archaeological evidence for a historical Moses. I'll get to that in a bit, but sure, your manipulated Google Maps evidence really does prove that your imaginary friend is true.
Now, there are different interpretations as to where God split the sea. The idea is that here the sea was split. Moses was not granted permission to go into the Holy Land, but God said that he will always be watching over.
First of all, The way that the Bible describes the parting of the Red Sea, or the Reed Sea technically, it would actually create a wind tunnel that would end up pulverizing anybody that stepped into it. And just like I mentioned, it initially said the Sea of Reeds, which is actually a totally different area than what we know of as the Red Sea now. The Sea of Reeds has been most likely identified as this sort of shallow lake to the north of the Red Sea. It's called Lake Bardawil. So it definitely wasn't the Red Sea as we understand it today. Oh, also another fun fact, there's no archaeological or historical evidence of any of this whatsoever. The fact that there is no evidence for over 2 million Jews being enslaved in Egypt, or even a mass exodus of those Jews, shows that this most likely never happened at all.
I actually had a friend, she showed me this. I started doing some research. There's not a lot. There's one rabbi who covers this exact phenomenon. To me, I think of it as like the world is the garden. We talked about this outside. Like we have the garden. This is just like another piece to the truth of Judaism, because
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty insane.
Except there is no truth in this at all. There is just thinly veiled manipulation going on. You have to ask them to be gullible enough to believe this bullshit in order for your point to stick. And then you have to distort the historical record. And there it is. Apologist Playbook, page 1. Exploit their cognitive biases and proclaim victory. Pareidolia is your brain trying to make sense of the noise that it encounters. It seeks patterns in this noise. From an evolutionary perspective, this was advantageous to us at one point. It's what kept us alive for a long time. But now it's being used to keep people indoctrinated into a bullshit faith for bullshit reasons.
When I first saw it, because you have to realize that it just goes with the story of Exodus, and it goes with the story of being persecuted by pharaohs, or by the pharaoh over here, and going towards the promised land.
Now here's what should scare any hardcore believer of the Bible. We have extensive Egyptian records from this period, and they documented everything. Construction projects, grain supplies, and minor administrative details. Yet somehow the enslavement of nearly 2 million plus individuals, 10 catastrophic plagues that nearly destroyed their economy, the mass drowning of their military elite, and the loss of an entire slave workforce. They left zero archaeological footprint. Not one contemporary Egyptian source records any of this. That's not a gap in evidence. That's evidence that this shit never happened. But do you know what we do have evidence for? That Moses didn't write the Pentateuch. The documentary hypothesis, the current leading hypothesis among biblical scholars, shows that 4 different sources were edited together later. You want proof of this? Genesis has 2 different creation accounts, and they contradict each other. Genesis 1 has humans being created last after the animals. Genesis 2 has Adam being created first, and then the animals, and then finally Eve. These aren't just simply different perspectives. They're actually different authors. Scholars call them the J, E, D, and P sources. They were compiled between 950 to 450 BCE. This was centuries after Moses supposedly lived. Moses seems to be a made-up character used to sensationalize Israelite history. Why would you want to believe in something that doesn't comport with reality? All it does is make you susceptible to being manipulated, just like what they are attempting to do with this video. So the next time somebody shows you some kind of miracle they found on Google Maps, remember this. If Moses is really carved into the Sinai Peninsula, then Jesus butt-fucked this dog and left his mark there too. And this Chinook helicopter is really surprised to have a whole bunch of dudes crammed up its gullet. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines, and apologists know exactly how to exploit that vulnerability. Do not let them do this. Always counter it. Well, heathens, that's going to be it for today. I hope that you will go down below and let me know what you thought about Roseanne and this guy, their conversation using pareidolia as well as Google Maps in order to prove that Moses actually did exist and that he was magically prevented from going into the Holy Land. Let me know down below, and while you're down there, I'd really appreciate it if you'd look up here to this video and check it out. Just give it a quick watch. It'd really help us out here at the channel. And as always, don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. It's literally just Roseanne Barr being like, oh yeah, look, oh, that looks like Moses. No, it looks like rocks, you dumb bitch.